Welcome to Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm Erin, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction book to see if they're a five or a flop.
Our theme for season 4 is Reading Rainbow, and this week we are reading Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher.
Or if you're like me, you're listening to the audiobook.
Yes, which you liked, I think.
Which I did. I always get ahead of myself. They had some good narrators for this audiobook.
Okay, were they doing Italian accents?
Not Italian, and they had like slight accents though. I think it was like English accents, but that felt on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were, the narrators are English.
Well, this book is set in England, so that's appropriate.
Yes, and we have very early in the season reached our stretch book that we should not have included because it's not really historical fiction, a la Mexican Gothic, a la Seven Little Australians.
Okay, I will still defend Mexican Gothic. Seven Little Australians is our biggest flub.
Yeah, that was a mess up. The other ones, like Babel.
Yeah.
That was a lot of like magical realism, historical. This fell kind of in that camp.
This is our... You know how people, when they talk about Taylor Swift, talk about her, like, track fives? So it's, like, every fifth song across the... This is our episode 2. And by that, I mean it's, like, Song of Achilles. I think this is the most comparable to Song of Achilles. Because, as you could probably tell from the title, this draws a lot on Arthurian legend.
Yes.
And it's the same thing as, like, the Trojan War, where it's, like, it was real, kind of?
Yeah, ish.
So, we'll get into that.
So, you know what is real, though? What I've got going on this week. And that is a work conference.
This is the hottest event of the year.
The hottest event of the year. And there's actually, this episode is coming out after it. And also, no one cares about my company at all. None of our listeners care about my company at all. Excuse me. But there's some fun stuff, happening.
You're going to have a very tiring week.
Yeah, it's going to be exhausting because my whole team, like, we're never in person together. That's wrong. My employees are in person with me. We're never in person with our bigger team. So we're all going to be in Orlando, Florida, my hometown. It's going to be like 90 degrees. I'm really excited about that. And the thing is, like, the conference goes all day, all morning, it's so long. But then by the end of the day, everyone's like, oh my God, let's go to the bar. Let's go get drunk together. And then it's 2 a.m. and you have to be up at 6 the next day.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. So that is what I am going to be doing. And in the meantime, I need to be figuring out what I'm going to be reading on that trip because I have nothing planned right now.
Are you going to take a Benadryl on the flight?
No, the flight is not long enough. The flight is like 2 hours to Orlando and it's like a Saturday at 11 a.m. So no Benadryl needed.
Okay. Well, good. Because then if you read on the flight, then you'll probably like the book then.
Well, last year when I was flying to this same conference, it was in San Antonio. It's a longer flight, no Benadryl still. But that was when I was listening to The Great Alone by pod author Kristen Hanna. And that's when I was sobbing uncontrollably and the flight attendants kept looking at me.
So maybe don't do that again.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to decide. I don't know if I'll do an audiobook. I don't know. I might honestly keep hammering some pod books.
Okay.
I've read like a couple not in order so far this season. So I need to like get
back on track.
I'm not prepped for episode 3. So.
Well, here, I'll just say, I'll segue right into what we're reading then, because I don't really have anything else going on to talk about.
Yeah, Grace's life is boring as hell, actually.
I've just returned from my beautiful jaunt to Boston, so thus I need like 3 weeks of reset,
Greatest city in the world. Greatest city in the world.
But I'm reading a book that not only did you recommend to me, but you gave me the copy of it.
Oh, I saw you write this down. I'm like, I wonder what that is.
It's The Favorites, a book about pairs skaters.
Actually, perfect
timing. Oh my God,
timing.
I'm so sorry. They're not pair skaters. They're ice dancers.
Perfect timing for you to read. Do you like it so far?
I do. I'm like 100 pages in. And I will say, so I was reading a pod book while I was in Boston. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I am going to tell you that I didn't like it at all. So,
wait, now I gotta look at your story graph because I don't know what you were reading.
We'll get into that in the future. So I finished it and I was like, I deserve
a treat.
Romance novels and I deserve figure skating. So I read a different romance novel about figure skating. Okay. And then I remembered that I had this at home. So I picked it up and it's not quite to the extent that Daisy Jones and the Six is, but it's kind of Daisy Jones and the Six-esque in that there's parts of the story that are just kind of written like a normal book. But also spliced in are excerpts of a documentary about these 2 ice dancers and this crazy thing that happened to them, but I don't know what it is yet.
Yes, and it's really good. You will hit the cringy Taylor Swift reference parts, though, which I really hated that.
We share an opinion about that. Unfortunately, also, have you read any books by Abby Jimenez?
I tried to, and I DNF'd all of them.
Well, there you go. I love Abby Jimenez, but unfortunately, her new book came out today, and the title is a Taylor Swift reference, which is something that we agree on to hate.
What's the title?
It's called Say You'll Remember Me.
Oh, yeah. That's like how we almost had the book, Don't Want You Like a Best Friend.
Yeah, that did get cut from the roster for this season.
That got cut from the roster. I was quick to cut it because of the Taylor Swift reference. So.
Yeah. And not based on the content of the book, which Ashley read and liked.
Yeah, no, I have no concept about the book. We were eliminating, and we wound up with too many England books.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first ones we were cutting were England books.
We had a couple of, like, queer Regency romance novels, and we were like, we can only have like one,
because that is definitely the trend now with Bridgerton popularity.
Absolutely, kind of anachronistic modern romance novels, which actually I will bring up a little bit later in reference to this.
And did we pick the right queer Regency book? We will certainly talk about that, not this week. But let's talk about what we are reading this week.
Gwen and Art are not in love. Would you like the synopsis?
I can read the synopsis. It's long as hell.
Okay, yeah. This is an insanely long synopsis. However, not the longest synopsis of any book this season, and it's not close.
Should we switch off since you have it in 3 bullet points? Should we both read the synopsis?
Oh my gosh. You can read paragraphs 1 and 3.
Perfect. It's been hundreds of years since King Arthur's reign. His descendant, Arthur, a future lord and General Gadabout, never heard that word before, has been betrothed to Gwendolyn, the quick-witted, short-tempered Princess of England since birth. The only thing they can agree on is that they despise each other.
They're forced to spend the summer together at Camelot in the run-up to their nuptials, and within 24 hours, Gwen has discovered Arthur kissing a boy, and Arthur has gone digging for Gwen's childhood diary and found confessions about her crush on the kingdom's only lady knight, Bridget Leclerc.
Lady Leclerc. Realizing they might make better allies than enemies, they make a reluctant pact to cover for each other. And as things heat up at the annual royal tournament, Gwen is swept off her feet by her knight, and Arthur takes interest in Gwen's royal brother. Lex Croucher's Gwen and Art Are Not in Love is chock full of sword fighting, found family, and romantic shenanigans destined to make readers fall in love.
So there you go. The characters are not King Arthur and Guinevere, but they are, like, descended of them.
Yes.
So here you go.
All right. Let's get into the author.
All right. Here is my favorite thing that I've learned so far. Lex Croucher is the author of this book. Here, I'll get some biographical things out of the way, and then I'll get into my favorite thing. They were born in 1992 in Surrey, in England. They identify as non-binary. They said any pronoun's fine. So if we slip up, it's allowed, but I will just try and say they, them. And they were a YouTuber.
Is this our first, like, millennial Gen X?
RF Kwong is not that old. But RF Kwong did not have a YouTube channel.
Is this our author who's closest in age and interest to us?
Probably.
Lex Croucher? Come on the pod.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they've deleted a lot of videos off their channel. It's still up, and they have like 120,000 subscribers, but there are only 10 videos on the channel. And one of them is like related to the book that they've released last year, which is not Gwen and Art. I'll touch on that in a second. So I think a lot of their older stuff they deleted. A few of the videos left on the channel are old, but I just get such a kick out of the fact that Lex Croucher was literally like a famous YouTuber. I don't know. I love that.
I will say Lex Croucher, one of those names you have to say both of them.
Yeah.
Like, not just Lex. Lex Croucher.
Lex Croucher.
We do that because we have a couple pod authors who we, like, call by their first name or their last name or whatever. No. This is one of the ones that is added to that list.
Like, another one that you say the full name, we say Paulo Coelho, and we say Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Philippa Gregory as well.
100%, which is actually crazy because, like, what other Philippa would we be talking about?
Exactly.
Anyway, so Lex Croucher's first book is kind of random. It's like a nonfiction survival guide for being like a young adult. I feel like it's very like YouTuber book vibes. Yeah. But all of their other books are fiction. So they published a trilogy of historical romance novels that are kind of like Bridgerton-esque, and by that I mean the show and not the books.
Gotcha.
Because the show is like kind of anachronistically modern a little bit. So they were marketed as Jane Austen meets Mean Girls.
That is such a common marketing ploy type thing, and I really hate anything that's described as something like that.
To be honest, that does not appeal to me. However, I am always super turned off. This is like a me problem. When something is marketed as like perfect for fans of something very specific.
Yes, and I talked about this with the favorites, I think.
Well, because then I'm like, well, what you're telling me, what I take from that, if they're like perfect for fans of Bridgerton, then I'm like, then this is just like Bridgerton except worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's a me thing. Then after Gwen and Art, they published a book last year called Not for the Faint of Heart, which is same vibes, but based on Robin Hood. The myth of
that.
Robin Hood.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
The fox from Disney. Got it.
And then this year, this is crazy to me. They're publishing a book this year called The Unmagical Life of Briar Jones, which is like a YA fantasy novel. And the publisher won a 10-way bidding war to acquire it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So clearly, Lex Croucher sells books.
So clearly Lex Croucher movie TV show deal soon.
Oh my gosh, probably. Yeah. So Lex Croucher is doing just fine.
And this is a spoiler for something we'll talk about later, but Lex Croucher, why are we not on a sequel for this one with how this book ended? Anyways.
We'll get there. Anyway, so have you read any of Lex Croucher's books or seen their YouTube channel?
No, however, I am thinking a YouTube channel viewing could be a bonus episode.
Oh my gosh. One of their most recent video, the one that's most clearly like, okay, you just realize that you have this YouTube channel and you're using it to like market your like new career. It's like an hour long, and it's the process from, I think, like conceiving to publication of the Robin Hood book.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think genuinely we would have fun.
Oh, I would enjoy that. But no, I have not read any of the other.
Okay. Me neither. I had heard of this book before, and I'm going to just say this now. I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise because it is a YA romance, and I do not enjoy that genre.
I also would not have picked this up at all because just by looking at it, this is like, it's a cartoon cover. This is not something I would like. However, I loved this book.
And I did not like it. However, I think the cover is gorgeous.
This has also been a very popular book within our friend group and amongst former pod co-hosts of Ashley, Kat, and Diana having all read this book before.
Yes. And again, for the discerning pod listener, it's one of the few books that all 4 members of Click Clack Moo have read now.
That is true. So if there were ever trivia questions on it, watch out.
And you know that there won't be, because when Ashley and I read Dracula, because he would not shut up about it, he's never asked about it since. So
no, I can't imagine this is one of the pod books that's going to get a trivia question, and then I'm going to get a random text at like 9 p.m. on a Monday night saying pod question.
No, but it is possible, because there have been questions before about Emily Henry and the book Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Okay, but I think those are much more popular compared to this.
Yes. However, 10-way bidding war. Maybe it's more popular than we think.
Okay, so maybe The Unmagical Life of Briar Jones.
Maybe, but I probably won't read that.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's get our disclaimer out of the way. Our judgments come based on the book and characters within the book rather than any real historical figures they may have been based on. Not the case.
Yeah, and also there will be some heavy scrutinization of the Arthurian legend in the historical accuracy section.
Because, as we said, this book is
borderline.
Should not be on a historical fiction podcast, but here we are.
You say shouldn't, I say borderline.
Grace is funny because Grace is so hardline about that damn historical accuracy rating category, and then she'll just add anything to the list.
Hey, the list, it takes 2 to make the list. All right, let's dive in.
Yes, let's do it. So do you want to start anywhere specific? Should we just kind of do a general, like, because I feel like with Fellow Travelers, we did not talk about an overall plot overview at all.
But there barely was one.
I know. So I feel like we should do that here.
Okay. Do you want to do that, or should I?
Yeah, I'll get us started, and then you just jump in.
Okay.
It follows pretty closely to the synopsis. Like, Gwen and Art, they are betrothed as, like, babies. They always hated each other. Like, you're building to be typical, like, enemies to lovers, right?
It's like if Catherine called Bertie actually had to marry, like, the first guy that her dad was like, you have to marry this guy.
Exactly. So Arthur comes to stay because they're of age. They're, like, 16, 17, whatever. Which is of age in this fictional time period that is loosely based on history. So Art comes to stay with Gwen. And unfortunately, there are some major characters whose names I'm not going to remember, such as Gwen's brother. Gwen has a brother.
Oh my god, what is his name?
It might be Peter, it might be Gabriel. It's Gabriel.
I was like, it's not Peter. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Gwen's mother, Gabriel, who, if I was a parent of twins, I would not name them both the same letter, but that's just me. So,
crucially, they're not twins, or they are, but they know which one is older, because Gabriel is going to be the king.
Yes.
That's his personality trait, other than being gay.
Yes, his personality trait is king and also books. And also birds?
Oh my god, don't get me started.
But anyway, so they're very close as siblings. Gwen is like, she's a weird mix between not like other girls and exactly like other girls.
Yeah, I have in my notes when I was like taking them as I was reading the book. When it started, Gwen was like, oh, like I like embroidering, I like to sew, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is so being like other girls right now. I really appreciate that.
I love it because I feel like coming out of our YA season, we had a lot of not like other girls.
Yeah. And it's not, the problem is not that you are a girl who likes to sew or a girl who likes to use swords, because as we'll get to, we have both in this book. It's the like weird judgment of the other group of people.
Exactly. And I do think this book does not have that judgment, and I appreciate it.
Yes. However, later in the book, Gwen is like, you know, I don't really have a lot of like female friends. Like, I don't really feel like I need them. Her servant girl is like, you were really judgy of me, and I'm just very nice to you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, Gwen, like you're acting a little not like other girls.
So Art comes to say with his like Sydney, his friend, is like, I guess his servant, like, bodyguard. Yeah, I don't know. So they come to stay, and Art is like a troublemaker, rapscallion. What did they call him? A gadabout that I had never heard of before?
Yeah, a gadabout town.
I always thought it was a galabout town.
It's both.
Okay. I don't
think actually people say gadabout town, but I think it's fun.
Anyways, so they come to stay, and then obviously, as in the summary, immediately Art is like kind of a mess. Like, he's drinking pretty heavily.
Don't get me started. I'll talk about that later.
He's kind of a mess. And it's meant to loosely disguise his daddy issues, as that comes out later in the book. But anyway, so he's like making out with a guy. Gwen catches him. They immediately go through her diary. And I thought that was so funny. And see that she's been fantasizing about Lady Leclaire, the female knight.
Who is girl with sword.
Bridget... There's not much to say about Bridget because she is probably the flattest character I've ever read in my life.
She's very flat, but I did like her.
I liked her too. It just felt, and we'll talk about this more, she felt unbalanced compared to the other to the other three main characters.
Yeah.
Which I thought was unfair because I wanted more about her in this book.
Me too.
But
all the decisions that she made were very good.
Yeah, no, she was the only one with like a head on, and I mean this complimentary because I think most teenagers do not have a head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
So I thought the stupid decisions that happened like made sense and felt real.
No, absolutely.
And I liked that there was one character who was like, y'all are kind of dumb. So I appreciated that a lot. And as I said, I'm gonna, you know how I talk about these books, I talk a little trash, but I also loved this book. I really did enjoy this. So then they come to stay, and then, they get into this alliance of like, well, we'll cover for each other. But then, there's all this other like Arthurian stuff that I'll let you get more into that. But basically, as we continue, Art starts a relationship with Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Gwen starts a relationship with Bridget. There is, kind of moving into a coup type of situation that
yes.
Arthur's father is involved in and tries to like frame Arthur as being involved in. So there's like definitely a big like miscommunication trope happening as well.
Yeah. Basically in this universe, there are the people who think of the Arthurian legend as just like nice stories. Mm-hmm. Like they don't put a lot of stock in it, but they are happy to like take on the trappings. And that is like Gwen and her, like the ruling family does not really believe in the Arthurian legend. But they like have an Excalibur and mm-hmm. stuff like that. But they're kind of like, okay, whatever. But then there's this group of people they refer to as cultists, which is extreme, who fully believe that King Arthur was real and that like there is significance to like his bloodline.
Yes.
So the coup is of the cultists, essentially. Yes.
And it's a failed coup. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
However, they do kill Gwen and Gabriel's father.
And it is kind of, I hate to say funny, but like there's this big battle and they're all worried about Gabriel and Art and stuff. And they're like, oh, and then our dad will probably be fine. Like, it's whatever. It's like how in the Hunger Games, which I know you don't like, It's like how Katniss was like not worried about her sister getting reaped into the Hunger Games until the exact moment that she was.
Yeah.
Like they're not worried about the dad dying until his head gets cut off. And then they're like, wait a minute.
Yes. So then, the coup fails and all of that. And we'll talk more specifically about the ending in a little bit, because I have some thoughts and some suggestions for Lex Croucher on the ending.
Okay. So I did not enjoy this book. Like I said, though, I'm not going to hold it against them for some of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to punish a book for being stuff I don't like. I'm just not.
And also, it is YA, which is inherently limiting.
Yes. So I will criticize it for things that I think are fair. But I will say, when I said last week, like, I'm not going to recommend Fellow Travelers to anyone. There are people who I know this book would be perfect for.
Yeah.
I am just not one of those people. But in terms of...
Perfect for fans of books Grace doesn't like.
Basically. No, I think there's just like a really specific genre of not even just teenagers. Like, I know a lot of like queer people in their 20s who would love this book.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. But in terms of what you said about it's a YA novel, so it is very limiting. I think that all my problems with this book kind of stem from that. Like,
from
I think
the characters being teenagers?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I do have problems with the characters, and we'll get into that. They're not like deal-breaking problems, though.
Yeah.
My problem is that I think that the parts of this book that we didn't focus on were the interesting parts. I liked the political machination. I liked the world building. But because it's a YA novel, I feel like it had to be a self-discovery novel.
Especially because it was a queer YA novel.
Yeah. So because you had to go through the process of especially Gabriel and Gwen coming to terms with who they were and with their identities, we just had to spend a lot of time on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved a book maybe they already know, or maybe that part of the book can just be a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get into the coup, the legalizing of gay marriage in this Arthurian society, which we'll get into. Mm-hmm. All of those things, which are much more the broader, I guess, sociological parts of the book that, granted, I don't have a personal relationship to the queer self-discovery, but mm-hmm. I think just strictly narratively, in terms of our disclaimer last week, we're talking about these books critically. I think that the book, for me, the stronger parts, not just my personal preference, the parts I thought were well written and, were not the focus of the book.
And that's why I think I enjoyed, and I know you don't agree with me. So the book is dual perspective. It's Gwen and Art. I did not say that, but it is true. I enjoyed Arthur's parts more and thought he was more interesting is not the right word.
He was a very unique kind of character.
He was more unique, and I thought he was able to do more because he already knew he was gay.
Yes.
That was not the focus of his internal struggles. He had a lot that came out with his father and with his relationship with his father, that sort of thing, with his relation to his own self-hatred, because stemming from his father, not from his queer identity.
I did appreciate that all of his issues were kind of unrelated.
I did appreciate that too, because I never want a book to be a trope that's just oh, I hate myself because I'm queer. And I know that is a lot of people's experience. I've had, when I came out, similar-ish type experiences. But I think there's also still so much more, and I think Arthur's character did a really great job with that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with all of that. One of my bigger problems was related to Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
None of the 4 characters in this book I cared about that much. This is my fellow travelers. I don't care about these people. I liked Bridget, but she kind of gave nothing. She just was not on the page that much.
She was not fleshed out.
No.
Pissed me off.
Gwen was fine. No problems. She's not my best friend, but she's fine. Gabriel drove me crazy.
What? I loved Gabriel.
Oh my God. I hate to be this person, but after a while I was just oh my God, get a grip. Buck up. Please. And then Art, I enjoyed him at the beginning. I really did. I think he's a unique character. He was funny. He started the book in an interesting place where he was like drinking and messy and getting in his own way, and I like that kind of character.
He caused a lot of his own problems.
He caused most of his own problems. But I don't think there was any character growth.
Okay.
I did not see character growth frankly, for almost anyone. And what growth there was very little. Like, there was not really an attempted arc for Bridget because she was pretty self-assured to begin with. There was a bit of one for Gwen. And there was one for Gabriel that I feel like you don't get the full impact of because he's not a point of view character. I don't think the characters I changed enough for me. Like, maybe my opinions on some of them would have been different if they had changed more.
For me, I think this is one of those books where, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't disagree with you on a lot of this.
Yeah, we just place like different levels of importance on these things.
This is the other Boleyn girl. This is Bridgerton. I loved reading this book. I really enjoyed it. Does it hold the most merit of everything we've read across the podcast? Absolutely not. But did I enjoy it? Yes.
Listen, I know that this book will be very important, like, and foundational for like a 15-year-old who might pick it up, who maybe is queer. Or maybe not. Maybe just one who loves to write or loves mythology.
Or just enjoys a good book.
Or just, this will hit for people.
Also, the found family trope is big and important for young people.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll swerve right back into being mean again. The tagline on the cover is, "The path to true love never did run straight."
Cute line.
Cute line, in essence. However, when I wrote down in my thing 60 pages from the end of the book was, I am not convinced that any of these people are even going to go on a first date. Like, what do you mean true love?
It was very, is slow burn the right word here?
It's just like, I don't know that I felt that there was a satisfactory conclusion on the love. Yeah,
this should have been like teenage romance. True love is a strong word.
Yeah. Like, one of my favorite parts of the book, this was one of Gwen's more annoying parts, but I actually appreciated it because I felt like it gave realism, where she and Bridget are like kind of in a relationship. And Gwen is like, I want you to stay here with me, because Bridget's supposed to leave at the end of the summer. And Bridget's like, and just like give up my whole life to just like sit here and secretly be your girlfriend while you're married to a guy? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, she doesn't even consider it. She's like, I'm not going to stay here for you. And Gwen is immediately like, because you don't love me enough. Like, you don't love me.
Yeah.
But it is so like such a teenage moment, and also a moment of like someone who's newly into their queerness, and also just like a first love moment that's relatable whether or not you're queer.
So very much teenager.
It felt so real that I appreciated that part. And also then I was like, Bridget points, because she is very normal. Yeah. I appreciate her, even though she is flat.
Even though her only character trait was holding a sword. Her only crime was being an independent woman.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of.
Here's the crazy thing that happened near the end when they got into the battle part. Bridget lost her sword somehow, and so she had to pull Excalibur out of the rock. Like, kind of no one cared. I was like, isn't that a big moment?
Yeah. Yeah, no one really cared. I kind of because I was listening to it on my drive to work, so I kind of glossed over it.
You didn't care. The people in the book didn't care. I was like, am I the only one that cares that Bridget has Excalibur?
I wish they didn't, because they kept dating through the end of the book, and I wish they didn't.
Yeah.
I wish
they were in a long distance relationship.
It had been that, hey, the first girl you have a crush on and kiss, she might not be, your whole life. She might not be your true love, and that's fine.
And also, maybe it hurts to leave, but you know that, like, you are made a better person by having this experience.
Exactly.
It's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. It's better to come and find your identity than no. But this takes place over a summer. The premise is that they have, like, the royal jousting tournament over the summer. Mm-hmm. So she'll be back in June for the next tournament. Yeah, essentially.
So I don't even want to talk so much about the whole coup thing, because I don't know, like, Arthur's father, like, framed him for being involved, and then they just, like, Gwen and Gabriel knew that Arthur's father is, like, awful. They know that Arthur does not speak to him, any of this stuff, and they don't even ask Arthur before being like, he's a traitor.
Mm-hmm. This is the biggest thing that I was like, Lex Croucher you have made an error, which is they had to have Arthur's father be one of the architects of this coup to make it like the miscommunication trope.
And to make it impactful, yeah.
Yeah, for Gwen and Gabriel to be like, oh my God, Art has betrayed us. But actually, Art is about to marry the princess. Why does Art's father want to overthrow the king?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So for that, I was like, oh my God. Clearly they knew that they were like kind of stretching with this because they came up with some kind of bullshit reason. And I think the reason was actually just that Art's dad is kind of stupid, which I was like, okay, fair. You know, lots of people are stupid. I know a handful of them. But like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a writer's, like, I've just lost the word. Contrivance.
Yes.
This is such a writer's contrivance to make their like twist happen.
Yeah. It was contrived. But I still had fun with it. I have like no good defenses for like anything you're bringing up except that I enjoyed reading this, so it's fine.
You are Hannah, and this book is Love in the Time of Cholera.
Exactly.
Okay. We'll get into something that I think we can segue into the history unless you have any other salient points.
Is it about the ending?
It's about the ending and about kind of the through line of like Gabriel's journey.
Okay. Your enemy, for some reason.
He just didn't do anything. Like, he was so whiny.
He didn't need to do anything.
He's the king of England. He needs to do stuff.
Okay, but I liked him.
Oh my God. No, he was so whiny and annoying. I hated to say.
Then you're going to hate my suggestion for Lex Croucher.
Oh my God. Okay, so Gabriel's thing is that he's like a scholar. His dad is a warrior king. He wants to live up to that, but he is a scholar. I understand. I'm on his side for that.
You too are a scholar.
Don't worry about it. But he's like, I have to do things the exact same way. And Art, because he's quirky and different, is like, why don't you use your strengths to be the king? Isn't that a great idea? So Gabriel's like, okay, I'll use my like research library power to be the king. I don't know. And then he finds a primary source in the library that implies that Arthur and Lancelot were in love. So Gabriel's other thing is he's like, I can't be gay. I'm the king. Fair point, I guess. I don't know.
You gotta have heirs.
Yeah. You know, he's like, I can't be gay. I'm the king. And then Art is like, okay, my counterpoint is if you're the king, you can do whatever you want.
Which, fair point.
Which also fair point. So the ending of the book is them publishing these lost love letters between Arthur and Lancelot. And I think this is kind of implied rather than outright stated, but I think kind of using them to legalize being gay.
Yeah, so essentially what's happening is Gabriel is about to give this big speech. And they're like talking about the speech and about how they're going to bring up like Arthur and Lancelot's letters. And it's very much implied he is about to legalize gay marriage. And then the book ends. You don't hear the speech.
No. Well, what I've written here is legalizing gay marriage. That is so good for Perkin.
That would be great for Perkin because I think this would take place before Catherine Called Birdie.
Right around the same time.
So that would actually be great if this all exists in the same universe.
Yeah.
However, I thought that was a big, I don't know, maybe it would have been too cheesy as an ending.
Maybe.
But, you want to hear my suggestion?
Yes.
Lex Croucher, tune in. Stop whatever you're doing. Listen to this. You need to write a sequel to this book once gay marriage is legalized. However, you need to flip the POV. One should be Bridget, one should be Gabriel, and both of their relationships should not work out.
Okay. The first part of that, the sequel to the book with the flip POVs. I am 100% with you. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Like, again, I can be objective here. I would not read that book. Other people, it's a great idea, and other people would eat it up. And I think this is a story that's ripe for continuation.
Yes.
Because like I said, a lot of the like political stuff and then the like, you know, you've realized who you are inside, what now?
It's not quite resolved.
It lends itself to more.
Yes.
I think I agree with you that Gwen and Bridget should not end up together. Art and Gabriel, I need to think about it a little more.
They were the two I wasn't sure. When I said that, I was like, I don't know. But I think it's also like...
Gabriel has not completed his, like, not self-loathing journey by the end of the book, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where you're like, I don't know if you're ready to have a boyfriend.
He's kind of like, you know that tweet that was like, my therapist told me I need to not be in a relationship?
Kind of, yeah.
That's almost everyone in this book except Bridget.
She can have a girlfriend.
Everyone else should be in therapy.
Yeah. Also... backtracking a little bit, I don't even really remember, You know what? I do remember why this happens, but frankly, it's convoluted and not relevant enough that I don't need to tell our pod listeners.
Okay.
Arthur, like, at one point almost dies. And by that, I don't mean, like, near miss or whatever. He's bedridden for, like, 3 months, like, can't walk, can't sit up, not conscious for most of it, like, extremely severely almost dies. And it seemed very random.
I thought it was going to be a hate crime thing.
Like, tonally, it was very random. It was coup related.
It was something his father, like, orchestrated part of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a hate crime thing.
Me too.
And I was kind of surprised it wasn't.
But also, it just was tonally so weird.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Very strange. Yeah. The ending I was not happy with. I don't know. I wanted something more conclusive. I wanted to hear that gay marriage got legalized.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted, like, a very sugary, happy ending. And I mean, that, you know, it wouldn't have been that good of an ending, but I wanted it.
Yeah. And I don't think this is that type of book where that would be weird.
Yeah, no, because there was a lot of, like, this was a dramatic ass city, country, landscape, whatever this was.
Big city.
Big city. Yeah, dramatic. No reason. But I think that would have kind of tied in well with the legalizing gay marriage speech.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's Gwen and Art Are Not in Love.
Yeah, I loved it because I had fun with it. I enjoyed the characters' personalities. Is this the best book I've ever read? Absolutely not. Am I going to rank it very highly? Yes, almost certainly.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say something. You're going to think that I am cuckoo bananas.
Okay.
I would rather read Fellow Travelers than this.
That is crazy.
Yeah. It's
because you didn't do the fucking audiobook.
I'm just not an audiobook girl. Although maybe for this it would have been better for me because not to be mean, because I don't care about it that much. Like, I don't do audiobooks, especially for fiction, because I'm like, then the narrator's interpretation interferes with me interpreting. But if I don't really care to interpret, then maybe that would be fine.
I think, honestly, the audiobook added a lot to my enjoyment.
Okay.
Because I thought the narrators had really great delivery.
Maybe I should have done it. But I'm not going to go back and do it again.
I mean, no, why would you?
Yeah.
But I think it did add to my experience. I think I have that from time to time where it's just really adds something.
No, I think, frankly, the through line of me already knowing the plot of Fellow Travelers and loving the characterization of Tim so much pulled me through. This that one had higher highs and lower lows. This one was just more boring on average.
Okay, that's fair.
For me. So I'm surprised by that too. I thought this would be at least, like, okay. But it was just not, it didn't click for me.
Maybe it's because I've only read, not to give myself away, I've only read 3 books for this season so far, and I've read the first 2 and one that's not the one we're reading next week. But so far, this is ranked my highest book of the season.
I've also read 3, and not the same 3 as you, but this is my second out of the 3.
Wow. And I did check on Storygraph as we were talking to see, and I'm intrigued.
We'll discuss more in a second. Anyway, let's dive into the historical accuracy.
Yes, please. And I heard you did something fun this week.
Yes, I've structured it a little differently. I'm going to pop off the top like I did last week with a quick fun fact, and then I'll do the more structured lower levels. Very briefly, it is mentioned that Bridget is from a place called Sukhothai. I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I am sure.
Okay.
I'm doing my best. But I did not know what that was. So I was like, based on the rest of this book, I doubt that that's something that Lex Croucher just made up.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. The Sukhothai Kingdom is what was considered for many years to be the first Thai kingdom of Thailand.
Wow.
So I think Thailand kind of had a similar situation to Germany, Italy, China, where it was a bunch of disparate kind of regions that came together as a fully formed country later.
Gotcha.
So the Sukhothai Kingdom is in what is modern-day northern Thailand, and it existed from 1238 to 1438. So I just liked bringing this up to learn about something new. Like, I had never heard of the Sukhothai Kingdom before, and I liked that it was even just this, like, kind of one-off reference that Lex Croucher thought to assign Bridget, like, a time and place, like, realistic heritage.
Lex Croucher did not give Bridget any other traits, but at least this was accurate.
Yeah, and so also then we can place the time period of this book between 1238 and 1438.
So right around Catherine called Birdie time. Okay.
Yeah, they could have been besties.
Except they both didn't like other women, so.
So what I have done for the historical accuracy section is produced a little timeline historiography about representations of King Arthur and Lancelot being represented as queer in writings and adaptations and history, etc.
Fun.
Yeah, because obviously this book was published, I think, in 2022 or 2023, and is kind of the latest in a line of representations of King Arthur and Lancelot as gay, separately or together. But it was not the first. So let's get into it. So the first references to King Arthur, period, in literature pop up in the 6th century.
Oh, I did not know it was that far back. Okay.
Well, it comes from its Welsh roots, and then the stories were kind of taken over by the English.
Much like everything.
Much like everything. The versions of King Arthur that we know today kind of come from the English picking up the story. And so that I mean the Knights of the Round Table and Gawain and Lancelot and Guinevere. This is not necessarily queer related, but it deals with Arthur sexually, so I thought to bring it up. In the 12th century is what originated the kind of lasting idea that Arthur is a cuckold, that his wife Guinevere is sleeping with Lancelot.
Much as was explored in the TV show Merlin.
That will come later. I will bring that up later.
I have stuff to add there.
So, and then about 100 years later, in the year 1210, that was the first appearance of Mordred, the evil sorcerer knight. I don't really know what his deal is. Being portrayed as Arthur's son, who is a product of incest with his sister.
Oh, okay.
That's also a thing that comes up a lot. So
much like the TV show Merlin.
You can share what you have to say about Merlin when I'm done.
I didn't even finish watching the show. Is what's so funny.
I started it. That was one of my shows during COVID. I was like, I'm gonna watch Merlin. It did not happen. I did not make it. Oh,
that was one of my middle school, early high school shows, which is when you should watch Merlin.
I was gonna say I missed the boat on it. I think. Anyway. So then there was the very famous work, I think this is one of the most famous works, Le Morte d'Arthur, that was published in 1485. And there have been a lot of academic papers looking at the relationship between Arthur and Lancelot, like the language used to describe their relationship, like the way that Lancelot specifically looks up to Arthur, I think mostly implying that Lancelot towards Arthur and not necessarily reciprocal.
Gotcha.
But then also, as is important to point out, they don't really have the perception in this time of sexuality as these kind of cordoned off blocks the way that we do nowadays. You know, their male friendships are much different than male friendships are kind of looked at now, if that makes sense, you know? Anyway, so then kind of after that, people lost interest in King Arthur for a little while. He was not a very prominent, not very prominently represented in literature until the rise of Romanticism in the 1800s. And then he's just a beautiful pastoral, romantic hero figure that poets love to pick out. This is the Lady of Shalott. It's stuff like that. Then we get into kind of mid-century in the 1900s. So there is The Once and Future King. This is a standalone book, and then it's a broader series. It came out in the 50s, and there is a ton of subtext about Lancelot and Arthur. So in this book, Lancelot is portrayed as loving Guinevere and having the physical affair with Guinevere, but there is an implication that Lancelot loves Guinevere because he loves Arthur and Arthur loves Guinevere, and it's the misplacing the love that he can't have onto a love that he can.
Gotcha.
So a lot of this interpretation comes from the author of The Once and Future King, T.H. White, who was a gay man. And he was closeted, and he was apparently very tortured by those and other things.
Yes.
But this is not just an interpretation that if you're thinking, because I am often one of these people, not just about queer subtext, but about generally thinking well, that's just people really reading into things too deeply.
Yeah.
But there were notes that he had in the preparation of The Once and Future King where he had considered making Lancelot gay explicitly.
Okay.
So I think that you can accept this reading of it as this subtext that's there on purpose. And I kind of had the inspiration to construct this little loose timeline because of the next thing on the timeline that I am personally familiar with, which is the book The Mists of Avalon, which came out in 1983.
Okay.
It portrays Lancelot and Arthur both as bisexual. They don't use that, it doesn't use that word, but essentially, like, they have love for each other and they both have love for Guinevere. There is a scene where they have a threesome.
Oh.
And then later Guinevere is like, I thought this is really a bastardization of what happens in the book. But Guinevere is like, I thought you guys were just going to be having sex with me at the same time, but you guys were having sex with me and each other in a gay way. They are under the influence of magic, but I think it's the kind of magic that reveals rather than creates.
Yes.
It's like, you know how when people do stuff when they're drunk and they're like, oh, I was just drunk. But it's like, it doesn't create stuff that you wouldn't have done otherwise. Yeah. It just lowers it anyway. Mm-hmm. And aside from that, there are a lot of books in the 21st century, like a ton, that focus on explicitly gay relationships between various men in the Arthurian canon. So I've been talking about Arthur and Lancelot, but obviously there's a lot of knights. Arthur and Lancelot are a prominent couple. Mm-hmm. Lancelot and Mordred. And there is some theorizing that a lot of this is sparked by Merlin and the people who wanted Merlin and Arthur to be together on Merlin.
Okay. Let me get in for a sec. When I was reading this in my head, I was like, did Lex Croucher watch Merlin? And based on the fact that they had a YouTube channel, my answer is yes.
Probably.
Merlin, not a good show. However, truly a masterpiece in the world of queer baiting. It was, everyone knows Super Hulock.
Yes.
It was Super Hulock's weird cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people didn't watch this show because you were kind of a weirdo if you did. I never finished it. However, every once in a while, I'm like, should I go back and watch it? So I'm pretty sure I would say probably a lot of it was sparked by people wishing that the two characters were gay.
Especially considering a few of these books that I found were self-published.
Yes.
And now it's pretty easily able to do that. I don't know. And then that's kind of the last thing that I have that's official, although I will say I found a thread on Reddit that was so funny to read because it was people trying to put a label on what Lancelot's sexuality could possibly be, mm-hmm. and just coming up with more and more obscure things.
Oh my god.
Because there were, like, it would start with someone being like, I think Lancelot's gay. And then someone would follow up and be like, absolutely not. He was in love with Guinevere. He has to be at least bisexual. And then someone would be like, well, I think he's pansexual. I think, and then we can talk about the differences between those two things, but I don't want to. And then I think my favorite thing was someone calling him, what was it? Homoflexible.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so I just had fun reading this thread and of people getting really, really mad about it as they do on Reddit. But
Grace, that was her fun. That was the joy she found for this episode.
I found joy. I like doing historiography. But yeah, so it's really not that crazy that this book might suggest that Arthur and Lancelot were gay for each other.
Yeah, I think that's a fair suggestion.
There is the history to back it up. So, should we move on to the calculator?
Yes. Before, I was about to go on another Merlin tangent, and I really pulled back there, so I'm very glad about that.
Maybe a bonus episode.
Honestly, I could just, you don't need to be on it, I could just, give me the mic.
Okay, a separate podcast, perhaps.
The bonus episodes for this season are each of us pick a topic, and the other one is not allowed to talk. All right, well, our categories for our calculator. Historical accuracy, originality, characters, prose, and vibes. I have a very big, I've put mine in already, I have a big disparity with my story graph.
Wow.
Historical accuracy, I had to give it a 1. If I gave Fellow Travelers a 2, I can only give this one a 1.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think it should be on a historical fiction podcast. I'm glad I read it. I really enjoyed it. No.
Okay.
Originality, I would give it a 4 as a very classic, like coming to terms with your queer identity story. But I don't know, the setting really amplified. I think there's a lot of opportunity with the world building. I really liked it. Like I said, I would like to see a sequel. I think there's a lot of directions to go with it. Characters, I gave them a 3 because I enjoyed them, but not because they were good. Prose, I gave it a 4. I liked it. I think the audiobook really elevated. However, I specifically took a point away because there is one part. You know the Riverdale quote? The epic highs and lows of American football.
High school football, but yes.
Okay, you've never experienced the epic highs and lows of high school football. They use that same quote in relation to chess. They're like the epic, the wins and losses, the epic highs and lows of chess. And I'm like, cringe, hate a pop culture reference, uncalled for.
Agree.
Vibes, I gave it a 5 because I really enjoyed this book. I had a blast with it. I really liked it. However, that's a score of a 3.4, and I did give this a 4.25.
Well, that's totally due to the historical accuracy one.
Yeah, okay. That's
I'm going to, if you take out the 1, that's an average of 4.
Okay, yeah. So I am still going to call this, I feel like I can't call it a 5 because it's not a 5. It's a
fine leaning 5.
It's a fine leaning 5. It's a Bridgerton. It's the other Berlin girl, which I think I said the exact same things. Like, damn, I wish I could give it a 5. Shouldn't be.
Okay, here, I'll do mine. Historical accuracy 2. I think, again, like, for the same reasons as you, but also I think that the Arthurian stuff could have been used way better.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of its implementation was a little bit clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
Originality 4. I docked a point for it for just being like, what if it's Arthurian legend, but people are gay? It's like, okay, like, that's not the craziest idea in the world. Yeah. But, you know, I liked it well enough. Like, I don't really have beef with it. 3, I had mostly my thoughts on the characters averages out to 3. Like, yeah. I have some positives and some negatives. I don't hate any of the characters. I'm not going to think about them again after this.
Yeah.
Pros 3, I think the same thing. It's just like, it's fine. It didn't stick with me, but it certainly was not bad, and it certainly got the job done. Vibes 2, I really had to force myself to read this book, I hate to say. So that's a 2.8, and I think I gave this a 3 on Storygraph.
Okay, so you were accurate.
Yeah, this is a personal Grace flop, but using my objective hat, this is fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
That's fair. You're better at being objective. You were much better at being objective than me on all of these books. So.
I do my best.
All right. You going to be objective next week?
I will do my best.
And what are we reading?
We are reading The 30 Names of Night by Zain Jukadar.
But until then, make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at @5erflop_pod and subscribe to our Storygraph reading challenge for season 4.
If there are any books that you think we should read on the pod, you can fill out the recommendation form in the bio of any of our social medias, or you can just send us an email at 5erfloppodcast@gmail.com.
And Lex Croucher, if you would like to take me up on my idea for the sequel, I'm not even going to ask for any money from it because that is a free offering because I would like to read a sequel to this, frankly.
And not only can you get a book out of it, you can make another YouTube video.
Exactly, which we will be seated.
Which we will watch.
But until we're able to be seated for that video,
happy reading!
Bye!